And maybe we could invite Wayne Rooney, because he'll be heading back up to Manchester this way this morning after being sacked as the Plymouth Argyle manager, 7 months into a 3-year contract. The former Manchester United striker, took over in May, but the Devon-based club have had a really tough time. You look at the results over the last few weeks; they haven't won since Bonfire Night. They've lost 6 of the last 7 games. They're rooted to the bottom of the table, 18 points from 23 matches, and he's been relieved of his duties after just 25 matches in all competitions. I mean, look, Plymouth haven't got a great big budget. Plymouth were expected to struggle anyway, but has he done enough there? And clearly they've decided that he hasn't.
Well, we don't watch Plymouth week in, week out, obviously, so I think
I watched them once this season. I did the first game, yeah.
And your views? They lost to Sheffield Wednesday, did they?
I said to you, put every single penny you've got on Plymouth to be relegated, I think, was a text message afterwards.
There you go. I think we have to, listen to the fans at times like this, and, the messages that I've had on social media and even into the programme this morning. I've not seen one Plymouth supporter who's leapt to the defence of Wayne Rooney. It's one win in 14. They regularly, under his tenure, got battered away from home. Their away record was really poor, despite the fact they put up some pretty good performances at home park. So I think it probably is the right decision. Then you dive a little deeper and you ask the question: was the discipline in the squad good enough? I think the answer probably is no. And obviously there've been a few videos circulating that Rooney himself has come out and denied the timing of. But there have been a lot of whispers about Wayne Rooney and spending a lot of time socialising down in Plymouth, maybe when he should have been working harder on the training ground. So I think probably the right decision has been made. But you do wonder where Wayne Rooney goes from here now, having been sacked by Birmingham after only a handful of games in charge, didn't pull up any trees in the US, did okay at Derby, although Adrian Durham has always pointed out on this station, actually, if you look at the wage bill that he had at the time, maybe he didn't do as good a job as people think, and now he's been fired by Plymouth. So it looks like another great player, and I think there's no question that he was a fantastic player for England and for Manchester United, has not cut it as a manager.
Yeah, I don't think we should be too happy about this.
I agree.
I hate this idea that we're all sort of like, can't wait to see someone fail. The whole socialising thing, I'm going to say I think it's probably blown out of proportion. I think one of the things that he did do was he tried to integrate himself in the local community, whether that was the right or wrong thing to do. But he would go to the local pub, he'd do a pub quiz, he'd do a bit of karaoke with the locals, he'd go to Tesco's and bump into people because he wanted to try and get in to the Green Army. And I think one of the things that he's really disappointed about is that he never really managed to sort of get everybody on side. But I spoke to him at length, both after that match against Sheffield Wednesday and before. We did a big thing on the Friday beforehand where we sat down and we talked about the plans for the season. And it was pretty clear by the way he was talking that the recruitment had been difficult and that the wage bill was lower than many of the other clubs in that division. And I think when you're already on the back foot like that, it's very difficult. Having watched them, I just didn't think there was enough there. That was my first thought, which is why I said what I said to you right at the beginning of the season. So I thought it was always an uphill task. My question is this: why did you take the job?
Yeah, I was going to say that because actually I spent a little bit of time with him at the Legends of Football event earlier this year as well, a gala dinner in his honour, and I said to him then, fair play to you, because Plymouth is a long way from anywhere. I've been sent there from Portsmouth because people think it's two southern clubs. They must be on their doorstep. It took me about 3.5 hours to get there. Yeah. So, he doesn't need the money. Clearly, he's a very wealthy man. A bit like Frank Lampard, actually. The easy thing to do would be to sit on a television sofa, and I think he's quite a good pundit, Wayne Rooney, actually. Clearly, they're a studious football man. But he wants to make it as a manager. He took a gamble, as you say, knowing there was no budget, knowing that if they finish one place above the relegation spots, that would be an achievement, and it hasn't worked out for him. But I agree with you. I don't think we should celebrate that fact this morning. There will be people that are, because, there are always people who want to kick Wayne Rooney, but I say fair play for giving it a go.
Yeah, I don't know where they go next, Plymouth, what happens to them in the next few. I always like going down there, by the way. It's always a great place to go and watch football. I know it is a very, very long way, but it actually is a good atmosphere down there. It's
good pasties as well in the press room. I know it's a cliche, but it's true.
They've got a great. Actually, you know what? One of the things that really freaked me out, actually, the last time I went down there, is that there was a Cornish pasty van, and I was like, hold on a second, we're in Devon. Is that right? Should they do that? Anyway, the one thing I'll say about it is it's a massive catchment area, right? So there's not much around it. Like you've mentioned, it takes ages to get there. In terms of Championship football clubs, there's not another one for miles and miles and miles. So they've got a lot of draw in terms of local public. They can pick up a lot of the younger players. Maybe the population there isn't as dense as maybe it is in other areas of the South Coast, but certainly there's a lot of population to draw upon. So it's good for the Championship. It'd be good for the Premier League at some point to have a South West club involved. We've never had one. We've never had a Bristol club or a Plymouth club or anyone from down that region playing in the Premier League. And I think it's important that you spread the game far and wide. And I think they'll be a little bit disappointed because half of the attraction of Wayne Rooney is to raise the profile of the club, to get people talking about it. But unfortunately, because of results and performances, the talk has all been pretty negative up until recently, and certainly up until now. What does he do next? Does he now retire and go back and sit on the sofa? I saw Colleen was at Everton the other day, so I'm sure that he'll be back in and around football very quickly. Well, maybe only as a spectator.
We just had a text actually suggesting that Colleen lasted longer in the jungle than Rooney did at Plymouth. I'm not sure that's factually correct. And again, that just sums up what I'm saying, that, there are certain people, when you've been a great player, that they almost want to see you fail as a manager. And I think that's disappointing, really. What does he do next? I mean, he could follow Steven Gerrard and go out to Saudi Arabia, I guess. I mean, he'll definitely be pitching up on a television sofa sometime soon, because, as I say, I think what people underestimate, and certainly I did even when he was a player, is just how much of a football man that Wayne Rooney is, and that's why he took this job in the first place.
It's all he's known.
Yeah,
it's all he's known. He wants to play. He wants to be involved. He wants to coach. He wants to be around players. He wants to be in the dressing room. He wants to influence the game. He's a good thinker of the game. Anyone who's read his Sunday Times column, he does a brilliant Sunday Times column. He hasn't done it since he's been the manager of Plymouth, but he's sort of done it in spells when he's been out of work, and he's been brilliant at sort of giving you his view on big situations at Manchester United, with England, etc., etc. I don't think we want to lose him from the game. Somehow I need to find a role for him. Maybe he needs to be a number 2 to somebody. Maybe that's his best role. Maybe he could be a very good asset to someone at another football club. You never know. Maybe he could be an asset to Ruben Amorim at Manchester United as part of the coaching staff.
I don't think you want that on his CV. Let's not kick him around while he's down. But I tell you what,
he could have one relegation already this season on his CV. He doesn't want another one, does he?
But I do know that Plymouth fans are asking questions now of their director of football, Neil Dewsnip, who obviously was behind the appointment. He put himself in charge, you remember, at the end of last season, and to be fair, kept Plymouth in the Championship. But they've made a few dubious managerial calls now, so they've got to get this one right.
Interesting to see what happens next. 0371 722 344 1089 on the text. You're listening to Sam Matterface and Alex Crook.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.